Hey y'all, it's Romania Black, and we are finally starting the Heaven Official Blessing novel walkthrough. So, we've watched the first season of the donghua. It was amazing, the 11 episodes and then the OVA. And then we've seen the extras, and so now it is time, as we wait for season 2 of the donghua to show up, it is time to go through the audio drama, the novel, and the manhua, and I'm really, really excited. So you'll have to excuse me. I was taking an antibiotic a few days ago, and everything was going great, and then suddenly my face has broke out in this lovely rash, and I found out I'm allergic to the antibiotic that I was taking. So I itch all over, but it's gonna have to be what it is. So I stopped taking it, and it's now just getting out of my system. So unfortunately, I look like I have the human face disease, though a much milder case here than that. So my face is a little swollen and it itches terribly, but I'm not going to scratch it. Instead, I'm going to distract myself by listening to Heaven Official's Blessing. So so we're going to start the novel. I bought the audio drama a few weeks ago, and I've purchased the audio drama, and now we're going to sit down. First of all, credit to Nana being Nana, because I'm going to include credit to her on this for actually sitting down and taking the time to do English translations of this audio drama. Bless you. Because I would listen to it anyway, but I'd have no clue what they were saying. So you taking the time to do these translations, amazing, wonderful, doing the Lord's work. Thank you. Many Heaven Official blessings to you as well, Nana being Nana. So she's going to get credit in here just for copyright and for sake of all that. It is not going to have sound. If you want, I'm going to be listening with my headphones. If you want sound, then you do need to go buy the actual audio drama. It is a process to get, but it is possible. I did it all in a couple hours, and it's like $10. It's really not that expensive. It was like $9.46 for the audio drama. I was like, best $10 I've spent all year. So yeah, it's 19 episodes, and we're going to go episode by episode because that's how she's translating them. So this will be episode 1. And I think I asked the Discord, not without spoiling how much was going to cover, and they said like the first 3 chapters, like up to page like 87 of the English translation of volume 1. So this here says chapters 1 through 7, which I'm guessing is the online version, the digital version. But for the English translation, if you have the English 7C's publication, I think it's up through page 87, which is still a nice chunk for this first episode. It's a 45-minute episode for the audio drama, so I'm like, okay, all right. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to listen to the audio drama first. I'm probably not going to take very many notes because I liked with Modao Zushi going back and listening to the audio drama in full and just enjoying the experience of hearing these voices and things like that. I may jot a few notes down about the audio drama if I think about it. And then I want to go back. I'm going to stop this reaction, go and read the novel chapters and look at the manhua, and then come back, give you guys my highlights from the manhua, and then also go through and talk about the novel and the audio drama as a whole. I liked how I did that with Modao Zushi. If there hadn't been an audio drama, I would have probably done live reactions of the readings. And I may still do that, we'll see. But since we have the audio dramas, it's kind of like it is in lieu of, right? It's in lieu of that. So we shall see. But I'm excited because this audio drama is supposedly going to have extra material that maybe the novel won't. So that'll be fun to see if there's stuff that I hear in the audio drama that the novel won't point out. But first and foremost, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your support. Please no spoilers from the novel or the manhwa. I'm going to be going through this, so I don't want any spoilers. But, and you guys, I have a post on our community page for YouTube for that, and a post on Patreon if you're curious about spoilers and what I consider a spoiler and things like that. But I'm really excited. There's supposed to be going to be a thunderstorm warning tonight, so I'm doing this a little bit earlier than usual to try to beat out the storm so that just in case the power goes out, we get all of this covered. So yeah, but I'm pretty excited to dive in and hear our sweet cinnamon bun. I miss him already from the donghua, and just see what all happens. So, and I've heard the novel has so much more information than the donghua did, and it's from Shilian's perspective, so that's going to be fun. Now, obviously, the audio drama is probably going to be more like the donghua and be more third person, but then that'll be fun to go back through the novel and see just how it's different. So we shall see, right? But let's not waste any more time. We are going to start the Heaven Official's Blessing audio drama, episode 1. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's go. I turn up just a hair. What? Oh. Oh, that's where we're going. Yin Yin. Oh. 3 questions. These questions 3. Oh, wow. 17 years old. Aesthetic travel. Oh. Huh? Oh, okay. I thought he was gonna like outdo him and know the answers. Interesting. We're already getting so much that the novel, that the donghua just didn't feel the need to tell us. The abyss. Huh. Oh, so he was really nice. A flowering tree. Heart in paradise. Oh. Is that how he got ascended then? The music's so gorgeous! That was the Heavenly Emperor. Oh. And we start out with the gossipers just like Moto Zushi. Oh. Oh. What? What? Oh. The Royal Highness ruined the Please God ceremony. Oh, he ruined it to save that kid. Oh, I didn't know that. And he comes again. Oh my gosh, we're already getting so much. So he came back fighting the second time. Ooh. But if the Emperor didn't want him to ascend, how come he ascended a third time? I want to hear that man do the voice like he does from Moto Zushi to introduce the series. Are we going to get that? Yay! It's him again! Yay! Tianguan Sufu. Yay! I'm glad he's back doing these. Wow, we just got a lot more exposition in the first 5 minutes of this. Okay. things are getting interesting. Huh. Got 8 volumes worth of this to go through, so lots of story. Huh. The most hoped heaven official to be demoted to the mortal realm. A first place is a first place, yeah. There's nobody else. Ha! There was none. Yeah. It was established today because you ruined the whole city. Yeah. I want to say Ling Wen sounds kind of like Wen Qing from What Else Is She? Yikes. Huh? Oh. Oh, yeah. It's a rare feat. No, everything is not right. Oh my gosh. Huh. Calculate it up. 800 years ago, 8,880,000 merits. Lots of 8s. I have no temples. Oh, he's so pessimistic. The upper court first. Let's go to that shady place. Oh, he hasn't forgotten the spell to enter it. Okay, because we're talking about his memory. Ah. 2. His guard and the other one swept the floor and served his tea. Retreated after he was demoted. Oh. They abandoned him. The silence! There's someone willing to talk to me! I'm back! The bell. Oh. 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 Xuanjin. He pushed it out of his memory. Oh. He used to be very soft. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. That's me. It's me. And that's his other subordinate. I did recognize him. The word shitty bastard was not meant to insult you. Don't take it to heart. He'd always been like this. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Oh. Street sweepers. Oh. Oh. Here we go. She asked if he was willing to help the emperor. Interesting. Stabilizing the seas and mountains. Oh, so that's how he gets it cleared in the donghua. The emperor said that if he did this one thing, he would give him as many merits as he wanted. Interesting. Savage. Savage. Malice, Menace, Savage, and Supreme. So it's a little bit translated a little different. Malice kills one. Menace, good at household. And Supreme could have the world in chaos. Wow. So Huan Changhe. I'm going to put on here Malice, Menace, Savage, Supreme. See how the novel translates them differently. Because his power's sealed up, right? He did say that. He's so sweet. Tiangguan Sufu. Oh. Oh. He's such a cinnamon roll. I'm so curious. Like, we're going to go back to the novel. Oh, there's so much stuff I'm curious about now. Interesting. In the picture, his hair seems so long. I hadn't thought about that it would seem like his ascension and destroying those two things of his former subordinates would kind of seem like revenge. Funny that happened to them. It's almost like karma. Little shop of horrors, little shop of chance encounters. Ha! Yeah. Funny that title. The cheapest tea you have. Oh. Oh, our cinnamon bun. If I wasn't caught by a dashing cloud. Interesting. Ooh. Can't wait to get to that novel. Feel off. The butterfly. He was on to him from the start. Little friend. Oh. Do you have to leave? Oh, the fact they called him little friend to the butterfly. Freaking cute. Oh. Here's our boys. Ah. Ling Wen sent them. So Ling Wen set them up with this. I forgot about that. But it's cheap tea. His former subordinates. They don't know. Ah. I forgot about that too. Ah. So it's like imitation. I do. The justice of the human realm, the center of the world. Did he just roll his eyes? Tell him to get lost. I volunteered. Oh. Ah. Like the music in the background. Ah. And that started the whole rumor. Oh. 17 brides in the past 100 years. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. There's no pattern. Ah, Fuyao. It's just a common name. Hmm. He looks polite from the outside, but he has something sarcastic on the inside, which is quite fun as well. Oh, Shilian. Huh. Oh my god. Oh, is this Connie? Is this him? Hmm. Hmm. Huh. Oh. Oh. Why would you pray to someone who's lost its working? Oh. Oh. Oh, Shilian. Oh, Shilian, honey. That's so sweet. Hmm. Huh? Ah. Oh, so they can make themselves invisible. Interesting. Ah. Fuyao. Fuyao's like Fuyao. You can't talk about a lady like that. Oh. Interesting. Ah. Ancient history. Ah. A flower crown martial god. The flower crown and the crimson rain sought flower. Oh, her skirt's torn. Don't ask me! Oh. And of course that would scare her because it was out of nowhere. Pervert! Shilian is all about just taking his clothes off and handing them out to people. Literally will give you the clothes off his back. Solved my ass. A martial god. Oh, nice, nice. If he loses pride easily, it's worthless. Nice. I like that. Yeah, lure it out. And then there. Uh-huh. It's a dummy. Oh! Your head fell off! Uh-huh. Yeah, it was the fake. It was a doll. Mm-hmm. Fuya really doesn't like people that are ugly. Like that Shilian scolds him. Xiao Ying. Oh. Oh! Interesting. Oh. Oh. Ah, and then Shilian. Oh. Uses demonic tricks. Oh, because he's, yeah. Because they don't know he's a god. He was ascended. My tea booth! And Pang, yeah. Ha! 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 Stop fighting! Aww. Will you two quit? Very well. Back to business. You're going to need to pay for that caterpillar! You need to pay for that non-pong. I don't have any money. Yeah, a doll isn't going to deceive him. But who would volunteer? We can't do that. Oh, Fuyao. That pause was perfect. Yep. And here we go. Oh, there was a dog barking in the background. I thought it was Huck. Oh no! To that extent? Oh, so him and Feng Shen. Your browser slant is too much powder. I love that Yao is somehow an expert on this makeup. The spell of transformation. Interesting. It's gonna be dark. The lights are gonna be off. It'll be fine. And it tore. Can I ask what we're doing? Huh. It's not necessarily you're scaring her. He doesn't scare me. Oh. Well, this is, I don't have such a hobby. Yes. No. Let me fix your makeup. She gets them all. She does a she's all that and gets them all beauted up. Oh my god, it really is she's all that. It's she and Li. Oh, it's she Lien's all that. Let's do that. I wanna edit the poster now. She Lien's all that. Huh. Oh, what? Oh, so they didn't get to see it, so Hua Chong wanted to be the first one to see it. Oh. How about that, huh? How about that? This level of bumpiness. Fuyao, you winch. Ha! It's too poured by maids. He wouldn't dislike me. Oh, no, he would not. That seductive fox, what? Fuyao, do you even realize what you're saying? Mr. Smirk is so a seductive fox. Oh my gosh. Wow, Fuyao, if only you knew. Oh. No, honey. The child spirit. That is freaky that he doesn't hear it. A nursery rhyme. Ooh. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, isn't that what we wanted? Oh! And here we go. Getting them wolves! Oh my gosh. Binu! Binu! Getting the Binu in this! A 100 or more. Ah. Rouye, yeah. Oh, nice. Shilian's got a little bite to him. I'm liking it. White silk. Oh my gosh, Shilian. He was a martial god, I mean. All right. Yeah. How come it's so cruel? Ah. Uh-huh. All right. This is ridiculous! Ah, it's ridiculous for Yao, honey. But are we gonna get Mr. Smirk before this ends? Are we? I really hope we are. Rouye. Yes, yes it is. And he can only see his hand. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Ooh, okay. Reincarnation in misery. The most sorrowful flower bloom. Oh. The befuddled, drunken dream called life, and everyone's suffering. Oh! Ooh. I have a feeling we've been paying attention to this a lot. To never rest in peace. Ooh. Like begging to wander the earth. Like in repentance? Hmm. Never regret my present, never forget my past. Oh! Oh. Ooh. Okay. That ED is really good. I'm gonna be listening to that a lot. And going back and paying attention to the lyrics. You're gonna get a preview? Oh. So we are going to get Shanji in the next one. Okay. Nice. All right. Well. Okay. That we actually surprisingly did not cover a lot of ground in this 45 minutes. I'm kind of amazed. Huh. Okay. Well, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to go and read the novel chapters and then the manhwa and come back and we're going to talk about this. So, this novel's already interesting. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. So what I did was I went and I've got the English copy of volume 1. And so I have a digital copy as well, but I wanted to sit down and actually read out of the English translation. So I read up to page 87, which is where these chapters leave off. For 87 pages to get through quite a bit of content for this first episode of our... But here's the thing. This is the first episode of the audio drama, and we're already like to there, like in the volume, and we have 19 of these to go. We're gonna get past this book. I feel like we're gonna get past this book because this book is only 372 pages long. So if I, get out my trusted calculator here because I'm not I'm an English major and I'm a math major. If we had, 372 and we divided that by 87, that's like 4 episodes. That's like four episodes worth, right? So we're getting past this book. I feel like we're getting past this first volume, but maybe not. Maybe we're not. I don't know. I'm just so curious to see how far we get in this first season, which there are going to be 8 volumes of the English translation. So who's to say? But I just feel like if we did 87 pages in the first episode and we have 18 more of these to go, we're going to get past this volume. I just don't know. I don't know. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see. Maybe the next couple volumes won't cover nearly as much. So I don't know. But I do lots of things. So what I'm loving about this novel so far in the audio drama is that things are getting pointed out that I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm glad that I am also reading the novel and looking at the manhwa in addition to the audio drama, because the audio drama is leaving some things out that is in the novel, I've noticed. And I'm like, okay. All right, so we need to talk about this. So I've made some notes. I've got several pages of notes. I'm not really going to go over too much in detail the stuff that we've seen in the donghua so far, because a lot of these first through, we're in the 3rd chapter of the book at this point, which it says chapters 1 through 7 of a digital novel, but in this version it's like we're in the part of the 3rd chapter. So this audio drama covered, if I'm looking at my glossary here, the audio, this book is adorable. That little picture of Shilian and Hua Chong just doing domestic things is adorable. So we covered in this audio drama the prologue, chapter 1, which is serialized chapters 2 through 3, which is the Scrap Immortal, 3rd time entering the heavenly capital. 3 Clowns, Night Discussion on the Palace of Tremendous Masculinity. Oh my god, great. Which was chapters 4 and 5. And we got into The Ghost Takes a Bride, which is chapter 6. And then The Crown Prince Mounts the Bridal Sedan. So yeah, we got into chapter 7. So, which was part 3 of this. So I like that they acknowledge in the English edition the chapters that are in the web serialization. That's important. That's going to be helpful to note as I'm reading through this, I'm sure. But yeah. So anyway, the prologue has lots of fun information that I'm thankful y'all didn't spoil me for, because I was like, oh, okay, cool. So first of all, we find out about Shanli. And Shanli, which is the realm that old Shilian was the crown prince of. Great naming nomenclature. It's like Shilian, Shanli. It's very, very similar. But 800 years ago, it's in the Central Plains, which is worth noting. And Shanli was known for its 4 things. So it's known for its women, its music and literature, its riches, and the illustrious crowned prince. And so I like the idea that Shilian starts out being introduced to us as the pampered prince, that he was doted upon, and his parents told him over and over again how great he was going to be. Like, you're going to be wonderful, you're going to bring all these wonderful things to our world, and all of that. But I like that Shilian was never one that wanted fame or fortune. his whole thing was that he wants to save the common people. And already from this prologue, I was like, oh, this story is going to be a lot of fun because we have lots of different things set up. And now knowing the context of the first season, I did have some questions going into this. Now, obviously, I don't want you to answer these questions for me. I want you to sit there cackling, holding your cup, being like, Romania has no clue, which is probably what, as I sound like a villain from a 90s cartoon show, that I'm sure that you guys are all going to be cackling at some of my theories and things that I'm going to posit throughout this. But they're just things that happened that I thought about as we were reading this, as I was reading this novel. But so basically they have this parade ceremony and they give it like a big fancy name. The Manhua calls it the Offering to the Gods Parade. That's what they call it. But in the novel, they give it a very specific name. It's called like how do they phrase it? They call it the Shangyan Heavenly Ceremonial Procession. And it's to honor the heavenly emperor. It's to honor him. And so the idea is that you pass around multiple times, like you do multiple laps, and the more laps you do, the more years of good luck that you have. And so I've noticed in this novel too, the number 3 is really important. The number 3 gets mentioned a lot. Like there's the number 3 or the third time something happens pops up quite a bit, which I'm like, okay, so there's something to that. There's 3 realms. There's, Shilian was only ascended the first time for 3 years. It was on the 3rd lap that he saw Sanlong, who's the 3rd son. Like the number 3 keeps coming up so much in this, and I'm like, okay. But during the ceremony, now the manhwa leads you to believe something else than the novel does, I think. Because during the ceremony, the big main thing is that somebody has to be the God-pleasing warrior, which is the Heavenly Emperor. And it's always this big, amazing, like really renowned part to play. And Shilian, of course, gets the part because he's the crown prince. He's the celebrity, right? So he gets to play Junwu, who is the Heavenly Emperor. And so he's chosen to do that part. And on the 3rd tour of the procession, this boy falls from the wall, which I think is Sanlong. We all think is Sanlong, but this boy falls from the wall. The novel does not make it seem like it's Sanlong at all, by the way. There's no mentions of what the boy looks like, just that a child fell from the wall. Now, the manhwa doesn't specifically state this, but in the novel, they talk about how everyone is like pushing and shoving, and so it makes it seem like the kid was accidentally pushed from the wall and was going to fall to his death. After watching the OVA, I wonder if the boy was committing suicide. I don't want to go there, but the way that Sanlong talked about, like, if you have no purpose in your life, and then Shilian told him, well, I can be your purpose, that makes me wonder if the boy jumped off the wall himself. I don't know. It could be wrong. It would make sense if the boy had jumped off to commit suicide and Shilian saved him and then said, well, if you can't believe anybody, believe in me. And that gives Sanlong the ability to move on with his life. He has something to hold on to, and it's Shilian. But even if he was pushed, it still works out really good because he's like a common folk and he gets pushed and Shilian saves him. So here's where it gets kind of crazy. The people in the town, in the city of Shanli, they cheered. They thought, they were like, oh my gosh, our crown prince like stopped in the middle of the play to save this kid. Like, what a great guy. What an amazing man. The imperial preceptors and the cultivation halls are troubled by this because it's bad luck. It's a bad omen. They only made 3 passes around the city before Shilian abandoned his duty as royal emperor in the play to save this kid. They think that it's a bad omen and that it could mean that they're only going to get 3 years of good luck. And it's like, wow, they're willing to sacrifice that kid falling from a wall to make sure they had good luck. Okay. And so they ask, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to bring up some Modao Zushi spoilers in here. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Modao Zushi, you might want to wait till this is gone. Okay. Because I'm going to have some Modao Zushi spoilers in this next part here. But so the royal preceptors, they ask Shilian to go and stand at the wall for a month, like in repentance, to like ask for forgiveness for what he did, for interrupting the play to save this child. And I love that Shilian goes, no. I was like, oh, he's like, no. He's just like, no. He says there's nothing wrong with saving people. And that if the heavens think that it's wrong to interrupt a play to save a kid falling from a wall, then the heavens are wrong. And he's like, no, he won't go and ask for forgiveness for something he doesn't think he needs to be forgiven for. And I was like, wow. For a second, and this is where the Modazushi spoilers are going to kick in. It reminded me instantly of Lan Wangji, when Lan Wangji did something that was considered wrong by the Lan clan. He was brought, in front of the temple and made to sit in the snow and hold a bamboo stick until his uncle gave him permission. Or he had to go into seclusion for a month, or he had to go into seclusion or be punished. And Wangji did it because he thought that it was worth the punishment. Whatever he did as an action was worth the punishment. Xi Lian is not Lan Wangji. And is like, no, he's much more like Wuxian. Xi Lian is a lot more like Wuxian than he's like, no, why should I have to be punished? I'm not going to go stand in front of a wall. No. So I really liked that comparison. I thought that the situations were similar, but their responses were totally different. I thought that was really cool. So end of those spoilers. But no, Xi Lian believes that he is a justice of the people of the mortal realm, which now that we hear him talk, and he's 800 years older, and he's like, that's silly. Why did I say that? It's like, oh, and the prologue gives us so much. So his ascension, his original ascension, is not because he defeated the ghost on the bridge. It's what he did afterwards. So he goes to Yin Yan, the Yellow River, and faces the ghost. And it kind of reminded me of Monty Python, the Holy Grail, the ghost that's like, answer me these questions 3. And he's like, what place is this? Who am I? What is to be done? Now the question would be, if you manage to get the first answer right, what place is this? Who am I and what must be done? I'm curious to know what those answers were, and I'm wondering if maybe down the line we'll go back to that and find out what they were. I don't know. But he gets the first question wrong anyway. He says this is a human realm. And it's almost like this ghost is kind of like Kamo, where he doesn't understand where he is, and maybe he's trying to figure it out, like, who am I? What is this place? Or he's stuck in a loop like Kamo was in constantly wanting to string Banyu up. So he answers, this place is the abyss. And then they fight, and it's described as this epic battle. I like how MXTX doesn't waste time with her battles. She's just like, it was great. It shook the heavens. Now it's over. And it's like, okay, cool. But he planted a flowering tree at the head of the bridge and christened it and said a prayer over it. And that's what got the emperor's attention, was that he was like, well, why did you do that? And he's like, body is in the abyss, but the heart is in paradise. Like, even though, and it's funny how this is going to get turned around later, but his response was very naive. It was very idealistic, where he's like, oh, well, his body may be in ruin, but his heart is in the right place. It's in paradise. Like, his heart is in heaven despite his body being in ruin. And the heavenly emperor says this child's future is infinite and ascends him right on the spot. So the heavenly emperor is interesting because it seems he's hard to read right now, because he seems like in that moment he saw potential in Xi Lian, but then later he rescinds it really quick. So we'll get to that. They explain the first ascension very well in this. And then the second ascension is shrouded in complete mystery. And I'm like, oh, novel, you are setting something up, because some stuff happens, right? Some stuff happens where he says here that Xi Lian ascends, and his parents, who doted on him all those years and basically worshiped their son in human form, once he ascends into godhood, they just start erecting all these temples and all these things and telling everybody to pray for him, to make him powerful. And so that's what they do. And for 3 years, it seems to work, but everything falls, just like the preceptors predicted. The 3 years of good luck was all they got. And then the kingdom fell into chaos. And there were these rebels that were outbreaking. There was revolutions going on. And they establish something that's actually pretty interesting in this, that the gods in this world have a very hands-off approach, basically, unless things get so bad that they need to help. They have a very hands-off approach in that they don't feel, well, they know in this, and they tell Xi Lian, they're like, look, we can't put out every fire. We can't solve every crisis. So we have to be very picky and choosy over what's going to happen. And like, yeah, this is your home country, and I'm sure that this is your country, and I'm sure you feel for it, but you can't just go and solve all the problems. And Shilian's like, but he thinks he can, right? So the emperor says, you need to just stay here, let them sort all this out. And Shilian's like, I will save the common people. And the emperor's like, you can't save everyone. And he says, I can. And just that kind of, not arrogance, but Shilian just believing that he could do it. And so they establish that he doesn't listen, and he goes down there, and they establish that no God can come down to save others without permission. And it makes matters worse. Now, the question is, of course, did matters naturally get worse on their own, or did the heavenly realm make matters worse? That's the question, right? And that's what we don't know at this point. We don't know at this point. So, Shilian, I like they describe that Shanli was hanging by a thread, and then Shilian cut it directly. That he made matters worse. He couldn't put out all the fires. And the people there realized that he wasn't infallible, that he wasn't as strong or as perfect as they thought he was. And then they got mad at him because he didn't solve all the problems. It reminds me a little bit, there's a series called Yona of the Dawn, and there's a priest in that series who tries to keep helping people over and over again. And this one kid that's with the priest tells the main characters, he's like, yeah, he kept trying to help everybody and do everything, and then got really discouraged because he realized it wasn't possible. He couldn't solve all the problems. And he just kind of fell into a despair. And that's kind of what happens with Shilian. Shilian couldn't solve all the problems. And so the people all revolt against him. They kind of end up blaming him. And so there's like 8,000 temples, which we'll bring that number up again, that were burned over the course of a week of 7 days and 7 nights. And the martial god who protected peace and safety vanished, and a god of misfortune who brought disasters was born. And I'm like, oh, so... And it was established that the plague happened around this time, which I'm assuming is the face eating disease that we'll talk about, that all that got brought into play. But the idea that you are what your followers say you are. And that kind of ties to Modazushi and MXTX's whole thing about gossip and how people how they, portray you and their perspective about you, how it can change. But he becomes a god of misfortune. It's like, and then he is descended, and then he just gets demoted, right? So he gets demoted. Shilian can't accept this reality that he went from being an idealistic person that wanted to save the world to being considered this god of misfortune. And so he can't accept the cannot accept the new reality. His spiritual powers end up being sealed, and he's banished to the mortal realm. And from there, it gets, like, I'm hoping that we get this expanded upon, but even if we don't, the idea that he went from being this pampered prince to experiencing poverty, filth, and just being hungry, and realizing, what it's like to be mortal and not have this wonderful life. And the book talks about how he stole, he robbed, he cursed loudly, which doesn't sound at all like Shilian, and gave up on himself. And that his self-esteem got so low that his servants chose to leave. They couldn't follow him anymore. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And then the idea of his body is in the abyss, his heart is no longer in paradise. And that part in the book where they talk about Shilian's, like, if I could see any more of those, like, body in the abyss, heart in paradise, I'd tear them all apart, because he realizes how naive and idealistic that saying was without being backed up by reality. And it's like, So I don't like the idea of Shilian in this awful place, right? Where he has no self-esteem, he thinks he's the worst, and no one loves him. All of his temples and stuff are gone. He's like just at the bottom of the barrel. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we get in this, they establish that in the heavenly realm, people that are banished usually never regain their glory, or they fall into the ghost realm. So I'm like, okay, so somebody that was a god could become a ghost. They could fall into the ghost realm, which is interesting. which is interesting. And so, but Shi Lian, he does ascend a second time. Now, this second ascension is left in total mystery, which I'm excited about because that means as we go through these novels, it's going to get explained. So I don't want spoilers, but what the novel tells us is that we don't know exactly how much time passes between his demotion and his second ascension. I don't want to know yet. But we do know that when he ascends a second time, he charges straight into the heavenly realm and starts fighting people and is only there for like 30 minutes before he gets cast down again. So something happened, right? Something happened. And the fact that Shi Lian forgets and makes himself forget parts of his past because he only has so much space in the brain, I'm like, oh my gosh. So something happened. He went from being on the highest of highs to getting demoted and having no self-esteem and feeling awful about himself in this world of poverty and filth to getting ascended a second time for reasons we don't know. And the first thing he does is start attacking people. That doesn't sound like Shi Lian. So it's like, what happened to make him get so mad that he would charge into the heavenly realm and attack people and then instantly get demoted? Like, what would cause that? So that's the big mystery. That's what I'm hoping as we read, we're going to find out. Right? And I'm just realizing the back of this says, a god fallen and a ghost risen. Indeed. So we'll find out about this, I guess. But yeah, he goes into a rampage for like, they said the amount of time that it takes an incense to burn. But then someone in the donghua said 30 minutes. And he's banished a second time. And in this point, the heavenly realm in the book, it's established that they are extremely nervous that upon getting banished this second time, that Shi Lian will go off the deep end. And he doesn't. Instead, he backs off. He backs off and he just becomes like a little peddler and a scrap collector and becomes really humble. So something happened to make Shi Lian very angry, and something happened to allow him to ascend. We don't know what yet. And he instantly wanted to go fight someone and then was demoted and then decided to turn over a new leaf and become really humble. So that's what we're left with. It's like, okay, cool. We'll go with that. So, and then the third ascension happens, and that's where the story starts. So the second ascension and the third ascension, we don't know anything about. We don't know what caused them. The first ascension was the whole incident at the Yellow River. So that part's been established. So I like that we get just enough about Shi Lian to establish a little bit of a mystery, but enough that we know how he's gotten to the point where he's gotten. I like it. I like it a lot. So in the present time, like I said, I'm not going to go over plot stuff that we talk about in the donghua and that the audio drama covers, just like little extra things. Shi Lian does not remember Muqing, aka Shanjin, and he makes the excuse to Ling Wen that it's been 500 to 600 years since he saw him, which means he saw him at some point 400 years or 200 years after his original ascension, because we established when he first ascended, he had Muqing and Fang Xin with him as his deputies. So that was 800 years ago. But then he says he has not seen Muqing in the last 600 years, meaning that 200 years had gone by since he had seen him last. And he was only ascended for 3 years. So there's like 197 years between his demotion and seeing him again. So I wonder if the second ascension was 600 years ago, and then after 200 years, the second ascension was 600 years ago. He met Muqing, maybe fought him, we don't know, and then was demoted again. I'm not sure. But Muqing, apparently, they established, was the son of an executed criminal. And so his status prevented him from being a general, so he mainly made tea and swept the floors around Shi Lian. But Shi Lian, this part gets interesting. Shi Lian made the concession to have him made into a deputy god despite his past and despite his family background. However, once Shi Lian was demoted, Muqing abandoned him. He didn't follow him. He completely cut his ties. He didn't defend him, which is funny because Shi Lian defended Muqing to get him that position in the first place. So the fact that he doesn't reciprocate it is interesting, right? And he ends up just training on his own to take the test to become a god and passes it on his own. So that's interesting. And then we have established later on, we'll get to with Feng Xin, it's established that he did follow Shi Lian. He was loyal to him, but he was one of those ones that as Shi Lian lost hope and self-esteem and became somebody completely different than his normal self, Feng Xin was one of the ones that kind of just faded away. It was like, I can't do this anymore, and just kind of left, right, along with the others. So that's interesting. That's interesting. He just drifted apart, as the novel says. But they established that Shi Lian has no shame. He's our little scrap collector, no shame. And then it's interesting they say Nanyang has, now Nanyang, who's Feng Xin, is the one that Shi Lian did remember, and he has 8,000 temples, which is what Shi Lian used to have, which is curious. But yeah, I like that Shi Lian points out, he's like, man, I ascend, and the first two things I destroy are a bell that hits Mu Qing and Feng Xin's palace. It makes it look like I'm out for revenge. And he's not. So that's a curious thing. So we also get established there's three types of believers. There are the rich, who basically their job is to build temples, offer religious services, and basically have trying to think of how I even wrote this. But basically they're the most common, as it turns out. They're the most common. They just build temples, have religious services, and are kind of, they seem kind of fake, which is funny because they're the most common. And then they're the missionaries who promote religion and offer goods and offer sermons. But then they're the believers that they aren't given a title, but they're called the believers who have their mind and body devoted. And the book says that those are the rarest because people who have their mind and body devoted to a cause are often ones closest to ascension. And the moment I read that, I was like, so San Long, so Hua Chong, he seems like as a kid, if he was devoted with his mind and body and soul, if he was this latter category that's rarer to Shi Lian, could that have caused his ascension? Because it's established that he showed up. And I can't wait till we get to that part of this novel where they give Hua Chong's backstory and explain it more. That's going to be interesting. But my mind was going, so could it be possible that he ascended to the heavenly realm and took on all of these gods and got them all demoted and then was like, okay, I hate you all, bye. And then just left? Maybe. We don't know. We don't know. But that's interesting, right? That's very interesting. And so we find out that Shi Lian has his power sealed. That he would have to use another person's power if possible. He can't use his own. Ling Wen suggests calling the martial officials, but Shi Lian says no one will come. So there's no point. And I'm like, damn, Shi Lian is such a cinnamon bun, but he's so self-loathing and sad. I'm like, no, you're precious, which makes San Long's love of him all the better. I'm like, ugh, I can't wait till we get to that part of the book. But so they go to the little shop of horrors, the little shop of chance encounters, which I thought was really cute. And apparently Shi Lian, he got into a fight with Cloud on the way down from the Heavenly Realm, fell and had to walk 3 days to get to this village. But the Cloud, I'm sure we find out, is Shanji, or at least I think it is at this point. And then we see Pang's procession go by the first time, and we get the silver butterfly. And I love in the audio drama where he's like, goodbye, hello. Like, he's so sweet to the butterfly. Shut up. But we get Fu Yao and Nan Fong, who are 18 and 19 years old. I like how the book describes Yao as fair, elegant, and poised, but cold and distant, which is eye rolls for days. And then Nan Fong is taller, deep brows, handsome eyes with an unbridled wildness to them. Like, it reminds me of like the flames going up around him and the Windmaster. It's a fun time. So yeah, so we established that there's the upper court and middle court. The upper court ascended on their own, through their own means, and then the middle court are appointed generals. And I like how the book takes its time to say, oh yeah, there was a lower court at one time. We just call it the middle court now because it sounds better. So it's establishing that the heavenly realm has to keep up with appearances. They're like, oh, well, it didn't sound good if you said you were from the lower court of the heavenly realm. So we just made it middle court to, sound better. And I'm like, interesting. Very interesting. So the generals Mu Qing and Feng Xin do not know that Nan Fong and Fu Yao have volunteered to help Shi Lian. They don't know that. It was established by Shi Lian that Mu Qing and Feng Xin never got along very well, and so obviously they're subordinates or carbon cookie cutter copies of them in that regard. But yeah, Shi Lian, I like when they first, after they get done meeting him, he's like, they're like, where should we go to sleep? And he's like, oh, right here. And he like points to the bushes. Like, Shilian saying that he's used to sleeping on the streets and in the bushes, like imagining this crown prince going to the point where he was sleeping in a bush is, I have a feeling we're going to cut back to his past a bit. I hope we do. And then it's going to be horrifically tragic. So the prologue makes it tragic already. I was sitting there reading it going, I feel really bad for him. Like within the first 5 minutes. So I know it's just it's gonna hit us even harder as we go through, right? But Nanfang and Fuyao are like, no, we're not sleeping in the bushes, not in the streets. We're gonna find a temple. And so they call upon the Lord of Soil and Ground, which is like Shilian like asks a favor of this deity and says, do you know any place we can stay, any temples that they can go to? And the Lord of Soil and Ground is like, oh, okay, hey, yeah, why'd you get me? It's over here. And points them over to the temple that we see them get into, the donghua. And so we get established that Shilian was the flower crown martial god because a lot of women were attracted to him because he was, I like that MXTX is like, there were 2 words that described why he had so many female fans. Good looking. I was like, yes, please. That's exactly right. Like nothing attracts the ladies like a hot guy. Just saying. And if that's your thing. And so then Fuyao is so rude in this, where he like talks to Ying, he's like, oh, she's ugly. And Shilian's like, don't tell her she's ugly. That's not nice. It's like, oh my God. Fuyao is just, he's so funny in this because he's just he's that catty bitch. I'm like, oh, Fuyao. And so Shilian gives Ying his cloak. And then the audio drama doesn't go into details about this, but the manhua as well as the novel talk about this. And as you can see, I am showing pictures as we go from the manhua, my favorite pictures that we have established here. But apparently he has all these bandages on him, and some of them are from the injuries from him falling from the heavens. And Nanfang is like, Nanfang seems much more, he seems broody and tough exterior, but he seems to have like the biggest heart of the 2 so far in the novel. And he notices that they take the bandages off his neck, and just like in the OP, he has this black collar. And it's a brand. It is a brand. It's a cursed shackle, a mark of sin, that when you get banished, you are branded and your spiritual powers are never to be freed again. So it's basically, it was forged in the heavens, and it's a form of punishment and a warning. And it's considered to be very, very humiliating. So my question is, if he had this from the first time around after his first dissension, then after his first demotion, then when he got ascended again, did he just go full on charging into the heavenly realm without any spiritual powers? If that's the case, then I'm very curious to know the circumstance of why. Something tells me that the heavenly realm, Shilian figured out that the heavenly realm was not a very nice, good people, and got really mad and was like, went up there to give them a piece of his mind, and then they demoted him. So again, I'm so curious to know what's up with that. But yeah. And so then from there, we get Pang's fake bride that's not working. It's not attracting the ghosts. That he goes after Ying, but Shilian saves her. And Nanfang breaks the pillar. And so I like the idea that Mu Qing, whenever Shilian keeps going back to the communication array, Mu Qing's always there. And so it's like, he really is lurking in the communication array. I feel like Mu Qing feels the guiltiest of all of them, because at least Feng Xin stuck around and he just kind of like faded off, but Mu Qing completely abandoned Shilian, who got him up there in the first place. So I feel like Mu Qing might feel a little guilty about Shilian, but I don't know. It's just funny that he's lurking in the communication array like he's waiting to talk to someone. It's fun. So the way that they describe the ghosts, the audio drama and the novel and the donghua all give them different names, but they kind of mix and merge them. So we have at the bottom of the level is either the fierce ghost or menace ghost, which are strong enough to kill a person. Still pretty strong. Then malice is the same across all borders. Malice can kill like an entire clan, which is pretty crazy. Then you have either wrath or savage, which could kill an entire city. It's like, okay. And then you have either supreme or devastation, which could bring chaos into the world. And then and then that's our guy here. So fun times. But yeah, so Fu Yao wants to use a woman as bait, and Shi Lian's like, no, we're not going to use a civilian or a mortal. That's not fair. We're not going to do it. And I love that he's like, but who could be the bride? And I love that both Feng and Yao are like, he's like, who could be the bride? It's great. That's a great point. And then I like Shi Lian, we are getting it from his perspective. We're not getting nearly as many internal monologues yet as I thought we would with him, but I kind of like it because it's keeping the mystery there. But we do get some internal monologues with him. And when he shows up at first with the makeup done by himself and the dress on, and Non-Feng goes, fuck. Like really, like the book curses. It's like he goes, fuck. And I love that Shi Lian goes, was that necessary? He's like, am I that bad? But then his dress rips because the dress that Fu Yao gave him is too small. And Ying shows up and offers to fix it and help with his makeup, which is like, he ends up looking so beautiful after she helps him. I love it. But we go back to the whole, they're in the sedan. He makes the joke about how Non-Feng and Fu Yao should be his 2 accompanying maids. And they're like, no, we're too poor for maids. I like that was Yao's comeback. He's like, you're too poor to have a maid. And so we get the child laughing in the lullaby about the sedan. And apparently Shi Lian is the only one that can hear the child laughing and singing, which is kind of creepy. But a pack of wolves show up to block the way with the carriage, and then the Binu show up. And I like how the novel describes the Binu. They're described as smeared and unclear features, like they're just blurry blobs, and they kind of look humanoid, but they're not. And I like how they established that they couldn't outright just kill you. They're not strong enough to do that. But they're so persistent that they'll just literally gnaw you to death. They'll literally just like gum your arm until it falls off. That's disgusting. And they're like, you'd almost want to battle a tough villain that could kill you instantly than to get swarmed by these zombies that will slowly gum you to death. And it's like, ugh. So yeah, so there's that. The Binu show up and there's hundreds of them. And I like inside the sedan, Shi Lian showing that he's not only sarcastic and has a sense of humor, but he can be kind of, there's some bite to this cinnamon roll. There's a little more cinnamon than you'd expect. Because I love that he has Ryuji, and he's like, and he said, the book says, he instructed gently, strangle them to death. I was like, oh my God. He's like, strangle them to death, please. And then he does it. And the book describes Ryuji like a viper or a snake. And I was like, that seems like a callback to Ban Yu. It seems why he trusts Ban Yu, even though she's a parcel tongue and has all these snake powers. And everybody's like, oh, she controls snakes. And Shi Lian's like, well, I kind of do too. So, but they establish that Non-Feng and Fu Yao have no clue what Ryuji is. They're like, how? You don't have spiritual powers. And he's like, there's always exceptions. It's like, how did you get this exception? What is this exception? Where did you get Ryuji? Was he a gift from somebody? Did San Long give you him? Like, it's just, there's little mysteries established with stuff like that I'm excited for the novel to dive into and explain. It's just it's brought up now, and you know it's going to get brought up again later. But then, yeah. And then the page 87 ends with like, I love that there's a little chuckle at Hua Chang's entrance. He just chuckles as he puts his hand down slowly to offer. And the way that the Manhua designs it, you really don't see his face at all. It's just the hand, and you can only see what Shi Lian sees through the veil. So there's that. But yeah, and then Shi Lian takes his hand like Phantom of the Opera style, and that's where we end. Just ends like, sing to me, my angel, and then that's where we end the chapter. For now, the chapter's not over, but that's where the audio drama ends. So yeah, I'm really on board now. I feel like I'm glad that I like watching the donghua first because it sets up that base and you kind of know what's going on, and then this expands it so much further, and I'm like, yes, please. But yeah, but other than that, our boy Shi Lian, he's getting more dimensions to him, and I feel bad for him already, and so I'm going to be curious to see what all ends up happening in the second part. But Manhua is beautiful, by the way. We only got like 4 chapters in the Manhua. It's like chapters 1 through 4 is diving in on this. But the artwork is gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I have a feeling it's only going to get better. So, yeah. But yeah, so I've talked a good 40 minutes about these chapters. Oh my gosh. I'm really, really excited to get into the next episode. It's going to be coming out soon. The thing is, I can't watch ahead. I have to wait. Like the next episode's not supposed to come out until like the 27th, which is a few days from now. So I'm like, I have to wait. But I was really looking forward to listening to this first episode of the audio drama, and I'm even more excited now. I'm gonna be really excited when we get into Song Long. Like this first thing with the bridegroom is fine. It's cool. The prologue is giving all of the exposition, and I'm excited about it because it's setting up even more mysteries to think about for the future. So that's exciting, but we'll see where it goes to, right? So please no spoilers, but if you have anything to comment about these first pages 1 through 87 of the English translation, or chapters 1 through 7 of the novel that does not contain a spoiler, hint, clue, or theory disproving or approving, then I'd love to hear it down below. But yeah, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on the audio drama, your thoughts on this so far. The Manhua is gorgeous. I can't wait to dive more into it. But yeah, so I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I will be back very soon with the next set of chapters for Heaven Official's Blessing. Bye.